Welcome back, everyone. My name is Holden, and I am your host for the Youth Unmuted podcast. This is a team-led podcast with the Boys and Girls Club of Benton County, where we share unique stories that relate to today's youth. Let's get started. Welcome back, everyone, to Youth Unmuted. I am so excited to talk about my passion for food insecurity with my friends from Walmart, Kayla and Rachel. Today, we get to hear about Walmart's role in addressing food insecurity, not just as a retailer, but as a community partner, philanthropic leader, and convener of collective action. Let's get started. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you each just want to tell us your names and then maybe one interesting fact about you guys before we get started.
Rachel, you go.
Okay. Hi, I'm Rachel Spencer, and I've worked for Walmart for almost 6 years, but my interesting fact is I used to study termite genetics.
Oh, that is interesting. Good fact. Mine is not around genetics, but my name is Kayla Burton. I've been with Walmart almost 2 years. My interesting fact would be I ran a 50K. That is not a common thing that people do. And so that is my one fun fact about me.
Kayla can also do pull-ups. Just so we know.
Kayla is fit.
Yes.
All right. How many miles is a 50K?
I still don't know to this day. When I was at mile 30 and I was on the trail, because it was a trail race, I asked one of the race organizers, like, how much more do we have to go? And they're like, it doesn't matter. Just find I think it's around 32, 33 miles.
That's insane.
It took all day. I mean,
there's only one way out.
Yeah. And I think on the, if I were to do a street race for a 50K, it probably wouldn't take as long, but trail running takes significantly longer. And so that's my thing. That's my glory.
Impressive.
Well, props to you, because there is no way I could do that. I'm in track right now, and anything over 400, I'm like, yeah. Nope, let's let the distance people do that one.
Never say never. I didn't think I would be into running, and then here I am as an adult trying to act like I have knees of a teenager.
No, yes, ma'am, I get it. All right, so let's go get started with the first question, and that is, why does Walmart focus on local communities when it comes to fighting hunger? And how does the company think about its role in improving access to food?
I can start, and then Kayla would love for you to add. I think we focus on local communities because that's where we are. And this is so core to our mission of save money and live better. When Sam Walton founded Walmart, he did it fundamentally so people in rural America could have access to higher quality products at a more competitive price point and live better lives by having more money in their pocket. So that is still so much part of the DNA of our company. And we focus on food security a lot because it's a huge problem in the US. We also focus on it globally because it's a challenge that unfortunately exists everywhere. And we are, as the largest grocer, it's something that it just makes sense for our business. And we tend to invest philanthropically, which means through grant making to nonprofits. We tend to invest in things that are close to our business too. So things that are relevant for what we do every day.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah, and I will add on, have that piece. And then, of course, with it being so close to home, it's in our local communities. We see it impact even our own customer base. And so we want to continue to take care of each other. As Rachel mentioned, save money, live better, through in a lot of ways. When we continue to show up for our local communities and do good in our communities, and for a lot of our organizations also take care of our communities, it kind of goes back to our shared value. The board, we have a lot of folks who agree that, this is an issue. It's not just issue is happening in our own neighborhoods. And so being able to show up, take care of our local communities, it is a pretty big, significant priority. And as you mentioned, with us being a large grocer, we have an opportunity to make a difference here.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love to see that you guys are really kind of taking initiative, especially with the success that has come from Walmart. I know specifically in our area, Arkansas, as of February, just became a report came out that we are the most food insecure state, and nearly 29%, so almost 30% of families in people that we know, like loved ones that we care about in our community, struggle with that issue. So that's amazing that you guys are taking that initiative.
And that's actually been for the past couple of years too.
Yeah.
Like that study, I think, had the highest rates that we've seen, but unfortunately, like that's been a persistent issue here over time too. So we can talk more about Arkansas specifically later if we want. But yeah, that's pretty shocking, isn't it?
Yeah, no, for sure. And we can definitely come back to that. But I want to talk about something that you mentioned, Rachel, and that was the Fight Hunger, Spark Change campaign. So that's really became a signature campaign for Walmart. So what makes this campaign so powerful?
Yeah, so one of the reasons why this campaign is so powerful is one of the big components that fits into our overall hunger portfolio when we think about how Walmart takes care of their local communities. And so Fight Hunger Spark Change, in partnership with Feeding America and their local food banks, started over a decade ago. And, one of the great things about this campaign that makes it pretty powerful is the simplicity and the scale of the campaign. And we've made it easy to where it's seamlessly embedded into how folks shop every day. There are 3 ways that customers could participate. That's purchasing an item that unlocks the donation, is being able to make a donation at the registers and online, and then you being able to donate directly to Feeding America. The other part of this is that we've opened it to where suppliers can come in and also join us to fight hunger as well. And so when I say that there's a participating item, we invite suppliers across our food categories on Walmart and Sam's Club side, where they can select everyday pantry items to be a part of the campaign. So when you purchase a box of Cheerios, that could potentially unlock a donation and go back to your food bank. So it's a very frictionless campaign, allows folks to continue to make a difference in their everyday purchases during that time frame. And also, all dollars stay local. So that's the great thing about this. We make sure we have that up front in our messaging. When a customer goes and they see the donation prompt at their register, they can see that it will be routed to their local food bank as well. So it is a great campaign because it allows everybody to engage in their own way and make their significant impact as well.
Yeah, that's great. And I really love that that dollar goes back and stays in that local community. So you really know that you are making a difference, especially to the community that you care about and have been impacted by. So that's awesome. You mentioned the suppliers. When you tell them about this initiative, do you see that a lot of them do like jump onto this opportunity and want to be involved in making the difference that Walmart is taking it?
Yeah, we see a great excitement and energy from them when we invite them to join us for the campaign. Even more so this year, we are also doing a kickoff together. So we're doing a huge volunteerism event at our local food bank alongside of our participating suppliers, because there is that eagerness to lean in and come together to help support our local communities, especially for this cause. And so I am always happy to have these touch points with our suppliers and hear their thoughts and how they will like to continue to make the difference. And sometimes you may see those suppliers carry out that cause in their own way post-campaign as well. So that energy continues throughout the year. And it is great for when they are invited to come together with us to continue to fight hunger.
Yeah, of course, that's great. It's really just kind of gives a hopeful look for our future, and really get to see that there is so much good going on when there's a lot of uncertainty. So I do, like I mentioned, staying local. Why is that so important that those donations stay in local communities?
Yeah, it resonates well with our base for sure. I think that is one of the things we want customers to know, that the impact that they're making, the dollar that they're giving is truly taking care of their local communities. Is one of the ways that we want to continue that trust, building that trust with our customers and our members as well. And then too, again, it is not only is it the matter of that, but also it really are kind of going back to the first question about showing up for those local communities, making sure that we're living towards our motto of save money, live better. And making sure that those communities are fully supported through and through, even when we do have a campaign that is at scale like this.
And I'll add that I think it's important just because they need it. There's 200 food banks across the country, and there's over 60,000 what we call local agency partners. So the food bank, if you think about it, before we started recording, Holden, we were talking about, business, and, part of that is thinking about like the logistics and how food really moves at a big scale throughout this country. And if you think about a food bank, they're almost like a distribution center or a warehouse, but then they're also like the spinal cord of this system that is supporting people to get food when they need it most, at a very local level too. So you've got organizations that you would think of as soup kitchens or church food pantries that are all supported by their local food banks. And so when we're able to get funds as close as we can to those local organizations, it can really branch out throughout that whole network, and they could buy things that they need, whether that's food itself, whether that's investments in programming, they have to pay staff. We have also invested very heavily in infrastructure and helping that network modernize the way that they move food around. So I think that's also just pretty fundamental to it, is that we were talking about how big of a need food insecurity is, and it's something we can all be pitching in on and working towards together.
No, yeah, that's great. And it really sounds like Walmart is like using all of the resources that they have like accumulated and earned just to be able to give back, and shows that, not only are they impacting this on like this global scale, this national large corporation, but they're really using their community ties and partners to make a difference. So that's super great. Next question I have is, can you guys give examples of how Walmart stores, clubs, or maybe even associates have really supported the relief efforts at local level for food insecurity?
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing we do, I would say, all year round, because we just talked about the campaign, but we are always, all of our facilities, clubs, and distribution centers donate food to Feeding America food banks when we aren't able to sell it in store. So it's still product that's good, that can go to feed someone. We just haven't been able to sell it before it's going to go bad. And so we get it while it's still good to the Feeding America network and those organizations that I mentioned. And our associates are a critical part of making that happen, because they are the ones literally pulling the food and building the boxes for food donations in stores. And so that is a huge part of what we contribute. I was looking up some things before this call. So we've over time, like since 2001, we've donated over 9 billion pounds of food to Feeding America. Globally, so not just in the US, but globally, last year, we donated 855 million pounds, which is the equivalent of 8 or 9 aircraft carriers of food. So just last year, all across the country. So I think that's also just an example of how this can happen at scale. And particularly in the US, the majority of that food tends to be fresh product too, which is healthier as well.
Yeah.
Kayla, what were you gonna add?
I was going to add on. So while we do have these great initiatives through our food donation program and Fight Hunger Spark Change, we do have a series of programs under our Spark Good umbrella that empowers nonprofits to activate on their own in local communities using Roundup, registry, volunteerism, and our associates are also able to engage in that as well. So even if maybe there's not a local food bank in their area, but there are other organizations that has food insecurity as a cause type, that unlocks the ability for associates and smaller nonprofits to activate within the framework we built through our Spark Good programs, and to also receive resources and show up for that cause as well.
Yeah, I did not know that. That is a great way to kind of give back. And I like your statistics there, especially about the aircraft's kind of cool fun fact. And 855 million pounds that's a lot of people you're feeding, a lot of families that, don't have to worry about where their next meal is coming from. So really putting that into scale, it kind of shows how much you give back, and that no food is really going to waste, especially at Walmart.
Yeah, that's the goal.
So how is Walmart thinking about the future of hunger relief and food insecurity?
I think a lot of it is what we started to talk about. I mentioned the modernization piece with that network. As a company, we are people-led but very tech-powered. And I think there's a lot that we can take from what we've learned through our business and really help some of our partners think about technology and innovation and how that can just really make things work easier out in the world. I mean, we do so many things on this, right? Like on our phones. So one thing that we've done recently is we've tested one of our internal platforms to that our suppliers use to tell stores that they are on their way to stock shelves, because we've got some products where suppliers come in and do direct stocking. So we leverage that technology to test with Feeding America food banks to see that the food banks could actually let the stores know that they were on their way. And so that's an example of just a small innovation that we've had really good success with in the test and are evaluating what the next steps of it should be. I'll also share that last year we invested $12.7 million to Feeding America that they reinvested in food banks across the country to do what we call building retail agency capacity. And what that term really means is investing in local organizations to come get that donated food in an easier and smoother fashion. So a lot of organizations, they need infrastructure still. Like they need refrigerators, freezers, shelving, they need iPads, they need tech to do some of those cool things that we just mentioned, testing. And so I think the future is some of like that is low hanging fruit. But it's also very hard work. These organizations are often really reliant on volunteers. There's a lot of talented people working really hard. And so we're working to advance that. And then I think as we get deeper into that, it gives us an opportunity to think even bigger about what solutions could be more upstream as well.
Yeah, that's really cool, especially with kind of, I really liked what you said about there's ways, like people are going to need the food, but there's also like they might not have the infrastructure to get those. And kind of one example that I have in my community is like we have a mobile pantry. So there might not be people that are able to necessarily go all the way to the food pantries, maybe like transportation, gas, just things like that, especially if they're from that rural community. So I live in a small town, but we have a mobile pantry that comes by, and myself and some members from the club, we've had the opportunity to go volunteer on that. And they still still provide fresh food and like plenty of food for families. And all people got to do is drive or walk up, and like we'll put it in their car or their trunk, whatever. So I think that's definitely a great solution that a multitude of people have used, especially because it might be like more beneficial, simplistic, but in the same way, it's just another resource that is Feeding America or our local food pantries are using to give back.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's meeting people where they're at, right?
Yeah.
And we can do same day delivery to over 93% of the country now. So like, what could that mean for the future of food access?
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's really cool. And that same day delivery, I love that, sometimes back and boom, it's there that day. And so
pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool just kind of seeing how like the future and like all of our advancements are really making an impact in our day-to-day lives, especially from like Walmart or other big corporations. And I'm sure that later on the road, like those are going to be used in ways to give back. And I'm very optimistic for our future for sure. Let's see. Next question. Going back to the local impact in your associates, how do the associates play a role beyond volunteering and fundraising?
So I noted our Smart Good programs. So we have like the volunteerism is huge for sure when our associates engage in that. And then the other impact that they make, there's the fundraising, the volunteerism. Then there is in a field, our associates have the ability to allow nonprofits outside the front entrance of their store to engage shoppers. So it gives them, they have the ability to unlock the access or the need for nonprofits within the hunger cause type to engage with shoppers as they come in to talk to them about their cause or raise additional funds of their own. Of course, we have our giving, so associates can give directly. We have a registry, and then we also have, she noted, food donation program that allows them to unlock those as well. And so through that, you have those Spark Good programs alone. And then what's also amazing is that we've learned that there's so many associates that sits on the board for local food banks and pantries. They're eager to have more of a strategic, programmatic relationship with a lot of their local food banks as well. There's a food bank in Nashville, Second Harvest Food Bank. We like to call them all the time to collect their stories and highlight one of our market managers who sits on the board for that food bank to kind of just hear more about how they're coming together to activate and, host community events, or where they may show up and provide a local grant dollars. Our facilities have the ability to provide those to organizations. And so through our Spark Good programs alone allows associates to kind of choose the journey or how they want to strategically support nonprofits across the board, but also from a nonprofit standpoint allows them to also engage in those same programs to continue to build those and strengthen those relationships with our associates throughout the U.S.
Yeah, great. It sounds like the associates have really maybe Walmart really cultivates a community where they can, do more, especially, and just kind of make their way and really show them that they are also making impact, not only through Walmart, but, through themselves, and really just being the change that is so needed. So that's awesome to hear, Barry.
Yeah, and we strongly encourage, we talk about localization all the time and showing up in local communities, showcasing the impact we make in that local space so that, our associates are also shoppers too. So they want to make sure that we're showing up in the right ways and making a difference, and being able to see that passion all the time is so great.
Yeah. And things work better when people know each other. When you have that trust and you can say well, hey, this went wrong. Whether we're talking about food donations or store reservation space, when you have someone you can actually just have a conversation with. I think that's true, across any topic area. And in so many communities, these are the folks that, we're going to church together. They're in PTAs together, we're neighbors. So it just, the local piece makes sense.
Yeah, of course, that localization, like you said, it really makes you want to give back, but also you get to see the direct impact in the firsthand change that is being, especially when you're getting involved in volunteering. Yeah, I know we've talked kind of a lot about what this answer could be. What gives you guys optimism about the progress that is possible when it comes to ending hunger?
It's a tough one.
I would say,
tough one, yes.
Yeah, it is. It is a tough one. I think what continues the hope for me to be optimistic about it is seeing our local communities come together for this cause. Even, if we think about the past year and how we all came together to think through how can we continue to support our communities more beyond Fight Hunger, Spark Change, and how can we, we put on a Feeding Communities Together campaign in our stores during the holiday season last year and saw a great turnout for that. And so we know that, we have a very generous customer shopper base. Our shoppers love to give back continuously year over year. Our merchants understand the cause. They know the importance of it. They're thinking strategically about how they can continue to make an impact and make a difference. So knowing that it is always top of mind, and there is always a desire to figure out how can we continue to plus up our impact in this space year over year, or even how associates can continue to make up a difference. That gives me hope on the progress that we're making. Of course, there are complexities along the way, especially when you're thinking about the infrastructure and how can, our signature partner continue to mature their model for how they operate and make sure that accessibility is there for those that need it. But I think for me is seeing that we continue to have a strong giving culture across the board, and that there is the constant desire and request to figure out what else can we do, or the challenge to do more, especially when during the holiday season and especially during Fight Hunger, Spark Change.
In Arkansas, even though our stats in this space are so persistently challenging, that engagement with coming together with folks on our home state is what's going to give me hope about this. Because I think when you do get down to that local level, we, for instance, at the Walmart Foundation have been working with the Arkansas Community Foundation to convene some conversations of food bank leaders, other hunger relief nonprofits, Arkansas Hunger Relief Alliance. There's so many folks that have been doing this work. And I think that when we see those numbers, right, and when we see what the data looks like, I have seen recently more of a willingness to say, we're going to come to the table and figure out how to fix this, because this is a reality that is something is not sticking. Like the need keeps growing, the numbers are bad. And like, what are we not doing that, or what part of the sector isn't yet involved in this conversation and needs to be? Where do we need to innovate in order to really make progress and change? And I think that when we can bring people together and have some of those tough conversations about what do we need to really do better and how can we support and resource that and where should it be, I think those are the conversations that they give me hope if we keep those up.
Yeah, for sure. And sometimes those tough conversations are necessary, especially to see the true change that you want. But I think it all kind of relates to like that localization and that local impact. Like there are going to be community members that have seen like what change can be made and what positive impact can happen, you know, if people stick together. And I think that is something that is so beneficial that Walmart is able to help cultivate. And so
honestly, it's you too, Holden. Like you've been giving
you're making a difference.
Kayla and I hope, because like you want to talk to us about this.
Yeah.
And like you have such good energy around it. So like that should be mentioned as well for your listeners.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. And for me, it has always just been, the Boys and Girls Club has been, you know, like my spotlight, my anchor. There's so much good that I have received from the Boys and Girls Club and so many opportunities like this podcast and like being able to talk to you guys. And because the club is a nonprofit and there is so much that we are given, so much that I'm given is because of the community. Like for me, it's just like, no doubt, like I want to be able to give back and I want to be able to use the passion that I have to do that. And there's so many other club members and club staff that want to do the same thing. And I think that's what makes it such an awesome full circle moment, is that like the community does stuff for us. So like, of course, we're going to like do stuff for them. Like the community is ultimately the reason that I'm here today. So speaking on food insecurity, having this podcast, speaking in front of a group of shareholders or community members or board of directors, it's all so important because ultimately it comes back to me and it comes back to my family and the people that, you know, need the support and need the advocacy so that they don't have to rely on something that may be unreliable. So, yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for speaking that out and just ultimately coming here today. That is all the time we do have for our first part. So a big shout out to you, Kayla and Rachel, for joining us. And for everyone listening, please make sure to tune in for part 2, where we get to explore more of Walmart's commitment to fighting food insecurity in local communities. Thank you all for tuning in. Again, I am Holden, your host. Please like this video and subscribe to Youth Unmuted wherever you get your podcast. Until next time, peace.